Hello, my friends. It's December 23rd, 2024. I want to apologize for not getting a daily brief out this morning. I think this is the first time I haven't done this in almost 2 years. I woke up with a brutal migraine this morning and I barely made it to a live stream that I did with Greg Terry. If you're watching this, I'm like barely hanging on here. I'm a little bit better now, but yeah, I apologize for that. So here's the news, three big stories. So we're going to look at, well, I think this might be four big stories. Russian forces suffered significant losses during the recent failed assault across the Dnipro River in Kherson, according to Ukrainian partisans. The entire platoons did not return, severely undermining the morale of Russian soldiers. And you can see a little bit about that. I talked about this yesterday. I was like, wow, they keep coming. Was it yesterday or the day before? They keep coming and they're attacking Kherson. They're not planning on stopping this thing. Here is Chuck Farrer, and he's the SEAL platoon leader, ex-SEAL platoon leader that I talked about yesterday. Russian troops reported to have refused orders to stage cross-river attack. A little bit more. Jason J. Smart, Vladimir Putin faces army revolt as commanders refuse to send troops to storm Key River. Russian units in Crimea were destroying their boats in a desperate bid not to be sent to Kherson to join the assault. Here's Anna from Ukraine talking about the same thing. Army revolt against Putin. Reports emerge of Russian troops refusing orders to storm the Dnipro River, destroying their own military speedboats. Putin faces growing disobedience. Let's hear Anna. She's just talking for about a minute.
Hello, guys. Kherson is one of the best symbols of Putin's humiliation in Ukraine. It was the only regional center they managed to occupy at the start of the full scale invasion, but it was quickly liberated by the Ukrainian armed forces. And now Putin wanted to start another offensive on Kherson, but more and more of his troops refused to storm Dnipro River because they realized that is another meat grinder and a dead end for them. But most importantly, many of these Russian units started destroying their military speedboats to illustrate they don't have equipment to do the task. And I think that is actually a great idea for all of the Russian soldiers. If they want to survive in this war, they should start destroying their equipment, weapons, and their Kremlin dictator too.
Yeah, so listen to Anna from Ukraine. It's good advice. All right, so next big story, we're going to turn our attention to what was going on in Syria. So Volodymyr Zelensky was reporting the aftermath of a meeting. He held a meeting of the staff. We thoroughly analyzed our work with Syria after the fall of Assad and his escape. Today, the intelligence services presented their reports. Ukraine is interested in stabilizing the situation in Syria and the entire region and will support the necessary efforts of partners. We believe it's crucial for the security of the Syrian people and the region as a whole to remove any Russian presence from Syria. Well, of course. And what happened in Syria was such a black eye for Putin. I can't even explain just how enormous this was. Former Syrian regime elements have continued to reconcile and settle their status with interim government. Syrian media reported that the Israeli Defense Forces continued to operate in parts of Syria on December 22nd. Like, that's pretty shocking that they're still allowing the Israelis to operate. And there were reports that the HTS was going to try to tamp down on the Kurds over in the northeast, and we'll see how that works, but this gives me hope, and this gives me hope. Syrian authorities arrested a group of 8 foreigners who were responsible for torching the Christmas tree in Hama. Syrians are very eager to maintain peace, and it's obvious that some foreign forces are trying to undermine it. The tree will be restored ASAP. So that they're going to restore it really quickly and they're trying to tamp down on that is, I think, a very positive sign. Okay, meanwhile, Assad's British-born wife filed for divorce in Moscow. This is according to a Russian telegram. Divorcing is likely a way to save assets, avoid sanctions. Quote, Putin has abandoned Assad, unquote. Russia has allegedly already frozen the ex-Syrian dictator's assets, and I talked about that yesterday. Chuck Farrar again talking about this, but I told you yesterday that I couldn't prove the story from major news outlets. So this is secondhand. It's still not proven, but it seems more likely that this is actually what has happened. Okay, last little bit about Syria. The Russian ship Sparta, which the Russians used to transport their weapons and equipment from Syria to get it out of Dodge, has broken down. A fuel pipe and main engine failed. A Ukrainian intelligence report shows that the ship is now drifting near Portugal. How about that? It's almost like a metaphor alert. All right, next big story. Let's turn our attention to South Korea. South Korea's military said on Monday it had detected signs of North Korea preparing to send more troops and weapons, including suicide drones, to Russia. Last week's briefing by South Korea's spy agency revealed that there were already 100 killed and another 1,000 wounded. Well, now we're far beyond that. So the number of killed and wounded DPRK soldiers, that's North Korean soldiers, in the Kursk region already exceeds 3,000 people, according to Zelensky. The president of Ukraine just announced that today. Excuse me a second. Um, and according to him, there is a risk that North Korea may send additional soldiers and military equipment to the Russian army. Now, 3,000 out of about 10,000, maybe 11,000, you're at about 25, 30% loss of strength already. So they're going to probably send more. We don't know how many more they're going to send, but it's likely that they're going to keep sending more and working together. Elite North Korean soldiers known as Storm, deployed to aid Russia in Ukraine, suffered devastating casualties in the Kursk Oblast. Ukrainian drone warfare has exposed critical gaps in their training. Well, of course, we didn't do drone warfare until just recently, so they weren't used to this, leading to the loss of hundreds of soldiers. And I've seen a number of videos where North Koreans just didn't know what to do when confronted with drones. And again, like we couldn't use the same tactics that we used in the last wars. I mean, a column of troops would have been a strong defense against whatever, whoever wanted to attack them. But now that column can be decimated by drones. Drones are powerful and they've changed things. Okay, meanwhile, North Korea is boosting arms flow to Russia. There are 200 weapons factories operating at full capacity, according to the Wall Street Journal. So that's what's happening now in North Korea. Okay, let's turn our attention now to the oil spill that happened because Russia was putting oil in tankers that were not the normal sanctioned tankers, but other tankers trying to get it out. A storm destroyed those tankers, massive oil spill in the Kerch just a few days ago. Since the oil spill in the Kerch Strait, 18 dead dolphins have been found along the coastline. And I saw some videos of them just like gasping for air and that sort of thing. It was terrible to watch. Possible cause of death: acute intoxication from the oil film, its vapors poison fish, as well as acute infection or contusion. Yeah, so it's bad in the Kerch, and according to eyewitnesses, now I showed you them shoveling up the oil, the sludge on the beaches. According to eyewitnesses, bags of sand with fuel oil collected on the beaches are buried right on the beach. I don't even know what to say to that. Okay, following up on another story from the other day, YouTube traffic in Russia fell to a record low. December 23rd, 2024, YouTube traffic in Russia fell to 20% of the average values recorded on the platform until August of this year. Users across the country began to massively report problems with access to the video service since December 19th. Videos do not play, the content is downloaded or extremely slow. It's impossible to download. So they're doing that intentionally to restrict information. And they're doing this as well. Russia's preparing to block WhatsApp in 2025. A senator stated that the ban is imminent if the messaging service management does not comply with Russian legislation. That would be giving them access to who's in your, which would totally undermine the whole point of WhatsApp. Okay, Greg Terry and I are involved in this campaign to raise drones, and I'm surprised by how generous you all have been, where in 25 hours it doubled. So these are soldiers of the 54th Mechanized Brigade back in 2022. I don't know how many of them are still fighting, but there are real people that will benefit from these drones and will have protective eyes in the skies. And that's even the point behind the patch itself, right? When I started recording or putting this together before, there was 79,000 and $271 in donations. Right now, I just refreshed and there's 81,000 in donations. Thank you so much. I can't say thank you enough. Again, the goal is to raise as many drones, reconnaissance drones, as possible to protect the Ukrainian soldiers. By the way, if you are looking to get the patch, if you've given $110, you get a patch and you click donate, and then you have to click request the patch, and then you have to fill out this form, request the patch, and you put in you've donated at least $110. And you click OK, and it'll say this: upload the screenshot receipt made of the transaction for the. So I forgot to do that. So you might have to go into your history and find thank you for donating help 99. You might have to go back to find something like that in order to get there. By the way, there's another a benefit as well here. Um, you can also have a NAFO fella, the little caricature created for you. Type in NAFO fella and then click on the first link, and then how to become a fella, and you'll see this screen looks like this, and then it shows you how to make that. So that little screen that I have was subscribe with my NAFO fella in a terrible looking sweater vest. I asked for the sweater vest. Um, that is your character, and you become a NAFO fella. So join NAFO if you've donated. It's free. It doesn't cost you if you've already donated. All right. I want to leave you with this last little thing. These are Ukrainians in Kyiv subway singing Christmas carols. And we'll end with this. It's almost Christmas. They're singing it in the subway where it's safe. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your likes, shares, subscribes. Thank you for the donations to the 54th Mechanized Brigade. I can't say thank you enough for that. We'll do a world of good for these soldiers. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.